This is Pro Series Off Topic.
Welcome back to Off Topic. This is episode 61, and today we are going to talk a little bit about Instagram stories. We talked about it before, but I want to dive a little bit more into it and help you grow within the Instagram story world. But before we get into that, let's talk about the Pro Series that happened this past week with Howard Mella he's actually from Norway. We talked about it in the episode, but he was shooting from Madrid, Spain. He's a professional. He's an author. He talks about his addiction, and we talk a lot about surviving in the 21st century. So that addiction that we have to our phones, I think everybody has a little bit of it. Like when you keep picking up that phone and you want to keep looking at an app that you just looked at, you're totally updated on that social media platform, but you keep going back. And we kind of talk about the psychology of that, what it does to our brains and the effects of it. He's an expert on that. He helps people kind of overcome that. And yeah, he has a couple books. We talk about that. So go ahead, check out the latest Pro Series that came out this past week. We have another Pro Series podcast, which we will talk about a little bit later on in this episode. But let's get into the main topic. That is Instagram stories. I know Instagram stories are something that are very complicated to some people. There's a lot of things going on there with stickers and polls and captions and stuff. And I don't feel like people use them enough, but I think there are also people that use them too much. You don't want to go into someone's story and have like a million stories to flip through. That's usually when people get less interested and don't want to go in there. And there's some accounts that literally only do stories and post every once in a while, which that is not a good thing. You should use stories as a secondary post, not as your primary post service for Instagram. So if you follow me, I've always had an active story, and I think that's very, very important. And if you don't, or if you're listening to this, you're new to social media, you don't understand what a story is, or you just never utilize it the way it is. What an Instagram story is it's a video or a picture or whatever you want that lasts for 24 hours. So after 24 hours it erases, but it stays in your profile image. That's usually when you have that colorful circle around it. That's when you have an active story or someone else has an active story. But it's just another way to get more engagement. A lot of people, when they post a new photo, they put it in their stories because a lot of people just look at stories and you kind of get lost in the feed because there's so much going on. And a lot of people follow so many people. So your post could get lost. And that's something that I've always done. Once I post something, I always put it in my story. But something that I don't do correctly that I've learned over time, especially talking with Meta and other content creators, is to be able to add more to the story, to make it more interesting, to make it reach a bigger audience, and also to be able to promote that post so it has that better engagement rate. How you do that? So in the beginning, just once you post something, this is just one form of a story. A story, you could just talk in it. I think some of the people that do stories the best are, these influencers that just talk into it because you're really just getting to know your following base, or in the followers' eyes, you're getting to know that content creator that you are following. So say you post something right now. I post a new photo. I'm going to put it into my Instagram story. Some ways to enhance that post. Cover up some of the photos so that it makes them want to go look at the post, or put a thing, say read comments. Those are some simple things, but I have a list of 10 different ways to kind of make them more, you maximize your engagement rate on that content. So introduce polls, quizzes, interactive stories can make this post go a little bit more viral than you're used to. And when I say that, you go to you're getting ready to post an Instagram story, your video will be there, your photo will be there, and you go into the sticker column, and there's different things you do. There's stickers, there's GIFs, there's the slide bar to make it like if you agree with something or you love something. There's polls, there's quizzes. I do a lot of polls and quizzes. A lot of people like the quizzes I do. I do the real estate ones. I don't do them that often anymore. I need to get back onto them, which I just go on realtor.com, take a couple pictures of a house that is for sale in different cities across the world, and I just say, hey, guess what the listing price is on this house. Great way to get interaction. And those posts that I do for those stories get way more interaction than any other post I have. Or pictures of Nala. She gets a lot of likes too. And then also, help yourself with looking at other people's content, other people's stories, see what they're posting. A lot of these people have it down to a science on what they do on their Instagram stories, and they do a very good job of it. So definitely check that out. Mastering the art of storytelling. If you are not this is for someone that is very good at talking to the camera. If you're not, it's okay. Don't go completely out of your comfort zone. Build yourself up to get there. But there are some people that could just sit in the car and talk to a camera. I'm not. I can't do that. I wish I could. I could do it for a post, but I can't do it for an Instagram story for some odd reason. Maybe I'll get there one day. But being able to tell a story, a lot of people love those. There's stories that go viral on TikTok of Instagram stories that people save of telling a whole story. I remember there was one a couple months ago about, it was this like lady that found her husband cheating, and she told the whole entire story, and she blew up just because of her Instagram story, just telling this story. It wasn't an in-feed post at that time. It was just an Instagram story. So being able to tell the story verbally instead of through a text on a caption is huge. Look for consistent branding. I find all these people posting stuff, especially in the real estate world, where your brand is so important to you specifically. They're posting these stories and the houses that they're going through, or maybe a house listing, and every single one of their posts that have like, it's supposed to be branded and it looks completely different every single time. Don't do that. You want someone to be able to look at your story and like, oh, that is from Eric, that is from whoever. So stay consistent with that, and leverage partnerships. You can collaborate on Instagram stories like you do on posts. Do that. Figure out some people that are like-minded like you, or maybe you're doing something with them, you're out at lunch with them. Those are great ways to get into a new audience, because it's showing, like an in-feed post that you collaborate with, it's showing on both sides of the spectrum right there. And tag people. A lot of, especially like this is speaking to interior designers or architecture or whatever. If you're using a certain material in a house, maybe like a home renovation, and say it's Cambria countertops, and if you tag them in that post, they're most likely going to add it to their story. But if you do it in their story, they're still going to be able to have the option to add it to their story. So they're reposting your story to their story. It's huge engagement right there. You're getting all of their followers looking at that post. So again, think of what I've talked about in the past for tagging and hashtags for post. Do it for the Instagram story. But you don't want to make it too cluttered. So meaning, you could hide stuff in an Instagram story. Hashtags, if you're calling someone out, like saying at Cambria or whatever, hide that caption. You can make, if you're doing it in a font, make the color the same color of the countertop and make it blend into the countertop. It has to be a certain size to be able to capture that it is going to Cambria and they could actually repost it. But make it look like a aesthetically pleasing photo without cluttering up the photo. So be able to hide those hashtags, hide those call outs of other groups that you are trying to collaborate with in the post. So that's a very important thing. Sometimes people just post stuff and just leave it there. And that's great. Your followers will probably see that, but to get to a broader audience, it still works the same way with geotagging and music as well. Make sure you add all that stuff. And if you don't want to make it super, super cluttered and look like an advertisement, hide the text. Create shareable content. So quotes are something that are great for that. I think my Motivational Monday, people they'll post it to their own Instagram story. So, and I do that a lot. If I see something I like, I'm going to post it to my own Instagram story. So get content that people would love to share, and look at your content, look through the analytics, see how many times people have sent stuff, because you could do that. If you go into insights on your photos, you could see how many people sent that image to someone. You don't know who did it and why and who they sent it to, but if it's a high number, it obviously resonated with a lot of people. So be able to make content so it is shareable through Instagram stories or used in that way. You could also schedule content for Instagram posts, or for Instagram stories as well. So be prepared for that. I do that with Pro Series. I have templates that I use every week for different, promotional parts of the podcast to get it going. And the last one, analyze your Instagram stories. Look through who's looking at your posts. Sometimes there's stories that get a lot of people looked at, and there's some people that don't. Or if you look at if you're doing a poll or a quiz, there's not a lot of people that did it that week. But there's this next week, this certain post went really well. Do more of the stuff that went well and build off of that. Keep going off it. Learn from what you've done well and learn from what you have done bad. And just learn from it. Keep it moving. That's what I have for Instagram stories. But just don't be that person that thinks Instagram stories is the only option for posting and post every once in a while. That is not the way to grow. Posting always comes first. Instagram stories is just the marketing tool for your account or marketing tool for your post. So think of it in that way. So let's get into a new segment that I'm introducing this week that I will talk about every week. I think we hear all these crazy stories on the news, a lot of bad stories on the news, and the news is just not a fun place to be. So I want to introduce this new segment. Okay, let's get into news you actually want to hear. If you are a Bobby Bones Show fan like myself, you know what Pimp and Joy is. You could go to their website to read more about the organization and how it got started. But I want to talk about something they announced this week. They have a new patriotic drop of their apparel that they have. And I'm going to read a little bit about their new. They do this every single year. They help a veteran or somebody in need. And they're partnering this year with Bobby Bones Show. 100% of the proceeds from the Pimp and Joy items currently supporting building a house through building homes for heroes for USAF Technical Sergeant Daniel Beesting. During his 10-year of serving our country, Technical Sergeant Beesting was exposed by challenging and life-threatening situations, causing him physical and psychological injuries. He suffered from PTSD, hearing loss, insomnia, and many more. After his family received a house in 2013 in Florida, the house was devastated and deemed unlivable in September of 22 after being hit by the Hurricane Ian. The home will now be required to be knocked down and rebuilt. We are thankful for your support of Technical Sergeant Beesting and his wife Alicia and 3 children. So go head over to the Shop Forward page where Pimp and Joy apparel lands, and they have this whole new collab drop with patriotic looking Pimp and Joy attire. Go check it out. It looks awesome. It's supporting a great cause. This is kind of the news that you want to hear. But yes, go check them out and follow the Bobby Bones Show. Let's get into country music media-based chart first, and then we'll get into new music. First up this week, number 5 is Ashley Cooke, Your Place. Number 4 this week, Post Malone and Morgan Wallen at I Had Some Help. Number 3 this week, Bailey Zimmerman with Where It Ends. Number 2 this week, Kenny Chesney with Take Her Home. And number 1 this week, Jelly Roll with Halfway to Hell. And let's get into new music. First up, Jelly Roll had a new song come out called I Am Not Okay. I think this is the song of the week for me. Jelly Roll just keeps killing it. He comes out with these tear-jerking songs that just have so much meaning behind it, and you could feel it in the energy of him singing. Great new single, great way to start the summer. Go check that out. It's called I Am Not Okay by Jelly Roll. Billy Currington, one of my favorite artists out there, very underrated artist. Came out with a new song called Everything Is Changing. Great song. It's a lot different of a vibe and sound from him, but I really do like it. We've all missed him very much. Next up, Gretchen Wilson came out with a new single called Little Miss Runner-Up. It's pretty cool. It's a really different sound than Gretchen has ever come out with, but I think it's a pretty good song for her. and showcases her voice very well. Blanco Brown came out with an EP called Cedar Walls and Whiskey. A good song off of that is called One Day Less. I love Blanco Brown. He's a great artist. Next up, Luke Bryan came out with like an EP of multiple songs that he past singles, but he also came out with Mind of a Country Boy. I don't know the meaning behind this. I don't know if it was like a fan favorite that he never released. I don't know the meaning behind this whole entire EP. And they're really just calling it an LP. It's 7 songs. It also has Love You, Miss You, Mean It, his current single, Play It Again, I Don't Want This Night to End, Country Girl, Shake It For Me, Hunting, Fishing, and Loving Every Day, and Kiss Tomorrow, Goodbye. And then last up, this is an honorable mention. It is a hip-hop song, but has a country artist in it. It is a Moneybagg Yo, came out with his new album called Speak Now. And he has a song with Morgan Wallen called Whiskey, Whiskey. Really good song, very catchy. I think it's going to be a good crossover hit. Morgan Wallen probably is on every single chart there is out there. He is at the top, and he just keeps killing it more and more. He is coming out with his Lies, Lies, Lies song on July 4th. He is just killing it in the music world right now and will continue to kill it. But this is a great, I love how he likes to collaborate with off-genre artists. I don't think a lot of country artists do that very often. It's usually they're bringing off-genre artists into country music, but there's not a lot of people that go outside the country world to kind of collaborate with other artists. So I think Morgan Wallen does that very well. That's all we have this week. We have a new Pro Series coming out midweek this week, so stay tuned to that. And that's all I have. And I hope you have a great rest of the week. Happy Father's Day to everybody. And we will talk next week.